Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Data Scientist Podcast. I'm very happy to have here with us today Ryan Janssen, a Miami-based entrepreneur. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to
Hey,
the show.
Stylianos. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so would you like to introduce yourself? You're probably going to make a better introduction than the one I can make for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a big zigzaggy career, so I'll give you the short version. I was born in Canada, was an engineer there for a while. Quickly moved to your home base of London. Actually, got an MBA there, and was an early employee at a venture fund there. We invested in early stage startups up to sort of growth stage for about 6 years before I came to New York. I did that to cross the table, and I was so excited by what was happening in data and just the pace at which change was occurring. I said, I don't want to just invest in this. I have to participate. I went to the States to do that, to be ultimately found what is Zenlytic now, my company. To do that, I went back and did another master's degree in data science, started a data science consultancy with my co-founder who I met at the program, and then ultimately used the learnings from that consultancy to build Zenlytic, which is a SaaS-based business. We're a business intelligence tool with sort of an integrated AI chatbot. And this is LLM-powered chatbot that answers your questions just like emailing a data analyst would, except you get the answers back in seconds instead of hours or days or weeks, even in certain circumstances. So it's over 1,000 times faster than asking a person, and you can get your data faster, basically.
I see. So that's interesting. How easy did you find it to use your own LLM for that?
It's interesting. I feel like the technology is there to achieve what we're trying to do, but just there. So it's funny because when my co-founder and I met, we were studying AI. And this was the year that Attention is All You Need, sort of the seminal transformer paper, was released. This is the paper that outlines the technical architecture that underpins GPT-4, for instance. We've studied that extensively in pretty much every large language model since then as well. So early versions of Zenlytic had tools that were not even GPT quality at the time. Like, this is before GPT. So I guess we have a good handle on what it's like to integrate LLMs into a production grade product. And the technology is there now, but and it's interesting because it feels like it's a nascent ecosystem, right? If I try and build a SQL visualizer, something that exists, then there's extensive sort of tech built out, libraries, supporting tools that have all been built around building SQL visualizers. But when you're trying to build an AI tool, it's really just like the supporting stuff is not there yet, which is interesting. So it's a really it's a funny place because we have to build a lot of tooling ourselves. We've had to for example, I guess, like we have these giant test harnesses that are sort of preloaded with sort of thousands of questions that you would sort of ask a data analyst and the right answer that should come out. And anytime we touch anything to do with our AI system, the first thing it does is it runs this massive end-to-end test, which ensures that AI performance is still delivering, that everything's accurate, and quickly services issues with that. So like that by itself is something we had to build, but I feel like that could probably be its own tool. In fact, tools are emerging that do that right now, open source projects, and probably even its own business, just doing this sort of AI end-to-end testing. So it's challenging, but the tech is there to actually deliver it today, which is really exciting.
Yeah, interesting. And what's your opinion as to using your own LLM versus just connecting into OpenAI? What would you advise new entrepreneurs into that area?
Yeah, so we've tried all of them, and including the existing APIs, including the open source models, everything from OpenAI to Claude to Llama to whatever, like anything to Falcon, anything that's out there, we've experimented with how effective it can be. There's still this, as of publishing of this, which is like early August, there's still a big gap between GPT-4 and pretty much everything else. So my first reaction is don't try and build your own model. Not only takes a lot of sort of DevOps to make it work and deploy that, another area that's still pretty nascent and growing quickly. I think also just in terms of fidelity, it's, if you want to go with the best, then you'll definitely get an order of magnitude better for GPT-4. And that's actually our approach. Our approach, a single call to this AI agent is probably, it depends on the question, but it's probably half a dozen sort of calls to various LLMs, which has been optimized for the various trade-offs, right? So, latency is a big one. Accuracy is a big one. Privacy is a major concern. So, calling the right LLMs with the right criteria at various steps in that chain, I think is important as well. That's helped us, for example, there's certain parts in the agent tool set that don't require incredible comprehension that we can get away with a smaller, much faster model. There's a couple of essential steps that you require the quality of GPT-4, and we actually assemble all of those in the chain to seamlessly deliver it, but it takes trial and error, I guess. So my advice would be, for someone building a tool now, start with GPT-4 and then focus on improving latency from there by experimenting with adding other models at various parts in the chain.
Okay, fair enough. And what about data privacy and GPT-4? Is that a concern or not?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, data privacy is the number one thing for us. We're so at Zenlytic, we're kind of a goofy bunch of people who don't take ourselves too seriously. Literally the only thing that we take seriously is privacy. Because we're data people first and foremost, right? And we know how important this is when you're doing public company reporting, financially compliant reporting, HIPAA compliant reporting, whatever it is. Privacy is point number one. The system we've architected does not require any data to be sent to an external LLM. So to repeat, no data has to be sent to GPT-4 when you're asking the agent this question. We do that with a bunch of different things, but one of the biggest unlocks is that our system uses what's called a semantic layer. And you're probably familiar with the semantic layer as a fellow data guy, but the semantic layer is essentially the tool that translates sort of a business type question into a SQL query for a relational data warehouse. And for example, you would just, not in natural language, but you'd say, listen, I have the following measures, I have the following dimensions, I have these filters. Please build me a SQL query as a result of this. It takes predefined table definitions and joins and metric definitions. It turns that into a SQL query. The neat thing about that is that it is an essential unlock for a great LLM experience. First, it's the clearest picture that any organization has of how they think and use their data, right? It's like all the data has been structured and codified in this one place, which is amazing. Also importantly, this is a big unlock for the privacy issue that you were asking about. So when you make a call when you have a semantic layer, all you have to do is send that metadata to an LLM, right? So whether it's internal or external, all that LLM is going to see is that you have a metric named conversion rate, but none of the data or none of the entities or nothing that's actually related to that conversion rate itself, which is an incredible step forward in preserving privacy. We do some other stuff under the hood to make sure that's the case, but yeah, privacy is hard, but it's important enough to do the work to make sure that it's ensured.
Okay, I see. And out of curiosity, how long did it take you to plug to combine all these LLMs to create your product? Sounds like quite a lot of effort.
Well, it was. The funny thing though is a lot of that effort happened before the LLMs existed. So we had Zoe running within about 3 or 4 days of the launch of GPT-4's API. So we were one of the first to get access to that, and then we were one of the first tools to productionize it. That was incredibly fast, and that was incredibly easy because we had been building the BI side of things to be chat native for years beforehand. So before we had this amazing LM technology, we had always set out to build a better self-serve business intelligence experience. And we had all of the bone structure and all the framework for a great BI tool that was already even using some of the grandparents of GPT. So, the hard part is making it work with, some of the earlier versions use this thing called BERT, which is like the progenitor, the great grandparent of GPT. It's like a small open source language model. we had already gotten that working with early versions of Zenlytic. And it's cool because the more advanced models actually take challenges off the plate, right? They make it easier in a lot of ways because you have to have fewer guardrails and have to build less scaffolding around it. So we were well positioned to do that. But I guess that's I'm one of those big believers in the old startup adage of like, it's a surface area of luck is like what you do when you're building a technology startup, and presenting yourself in a way to take advantage of big advancements like that quickly, I think is probably one of the secrets to succeeding. And if you look at a lot of overnight successes or a lot of startups, and you really dig into them, you start to realize that they had been building in preparation for an event before the opportunity was even possible. And I think that's definitely our story. Like, I think self-serve BI has always been the name of the game for us. I think it actually probably wasn't even possible to do before late 2022.
Okay, I see. And what about like training LLMs? So let's say someone wants to get started with this technology. What would you recommend to them? There are so many options, I guess, for those that want something very user-friendly, smaller in scale. Maybe Google Colab is a good choice. Then we have AWS and Azure, Google Cloud, and probably many smaller providers which are not as well as known. What's your recommendation?
Yeah. Well, so when you're deploying stuff in the cloud, I mean, you get a few options, right? I mean, you've certainly got things like Hugging Face. The name on everyone's lips. It's actually also sort of a new release that I haven't used a lot personally, but more and more people are using AWS Bedrock to deploy these models. So this is a dedicated AI deployment tool, which I think will be very powerful. If you're just getting started, though, I would try and stay away from the cloud. So if you look at most of the open source or publicly available models, they have different parameter sizes, right? There's usually a 7 billion parameter. There's often something in between. There's like a 30 billion, and there's a big 70 billion one. The 70 billion gives the highest quality, but the reason that all those 7 billion parameter models exist, that's a very common number you'll see. There's like, Llama has a 7 billion and Falcon has a 7 billion. That's been designed to fit on a single GPU. So that's a great way to get started with this tech, is start with the 7B models, make them, and actually just run them locally, so like start training your own models before you start messing with sort of, DevOps in the cloud. Just to get a feel for how this works. And that's because if you don't have experience actually deploying cloud tech, it's just a whole new thing to learn on top of learning this, revolutionary platform shift technology. It's like, why add homework for yourself? So, learn the models and how they get a feel for them and develop an intuition for them first in a local machine and then deploy to cloud.
Okay, I see. And what's your opinion like on the new Llama version? You mentioned it's not even close to GPT-4, but still would be curious to hear, like, for anyone who wants to get started with LLMs, like, is this a good starting point?
Exciting. It's and that was actually the second point that I completely forgot mid-question there, is if you're going to start with this, I would definitely start with Llama 2. This is so Llama is Facebook's family of large language models. The important one right now is Llama 2. The previous Llama was not commercially available, and a lot of people were kind of hesitant to use it because even if they started to make progress with it, there'd be a lot of like copyright concerns, and you don't want to use software that you're not allowed to use. So it kind of inhibited the development or the deployment of Llama 2, of Llama 1. Llama 2 is almost open source. I say it's almost open source because I believe the license is you're free to use it if you have less than 700 million monthly active users, which is kind of that's a message, right? It's like, hey, like, it's basically like, if you're not Google, you can use it. Maybe a couple other organizations, but it's like, if you're a competitor to Facebook, you can't use it, but it's publicly available for any non-behemoth company. And that's huge for several reasons. First, because you can have confidence that you could actually commercialize and use this tech the way you wanted to. The second really important reason this is great is because the research community finally has a chance to unlock all sorts of things that you can bolt on to these models. So when you're using an API-based model like GPT-4, for instance, you kind of just make the call and get it back, and there's not that much you can do with it apart from, I guess, prompt engineering. When you're using an open source model, there's all these emerging technologies, and things like, I think of things like LoRa, for instance, which is like low rank approximation, where you can make the model smaller. Or I think of even things like RLHF, which is what OpenAI does under the hood to improve model performance. There's all these little things that actually are, in my opinion, as important, if not even more important, than the size of the model and delivering good results. Now you can actually go and play with those. And these open source models are kind of like Legos, where you can bolt this on and try this, and what if we change this, and really start to innovate on the model architecture itself. I think that's huge because even though there's tens of thousands of brilliant engineers in the big people working on this, and the OpenAIs and the Googles and the Metas and things like that, even though there are tens of thousands of engineers there are millions of people that can do this open source in the greater community, right? So opening that up to more research is probably going to unlock a lot of really important advancements in the field. So I think that's really huge too. So like, I think it's great just for playing with it and learning about it, and even deploying things with it. I think even though it's not, in my opinion, GPT-4 quality, I think we're pushing GPT 3.5. So that's, there's a lot you can do with that still. I don't have data on this, but I'll bet you GPT 3.5 is probably still the more popular of the models in production. Depends on your needs.
Yeah.
So the quality is, it's not the best of the best, but it's good enough, and it's consistently beating the top of the open source leaderboards now.
Yeah.
The one other option that's worth mentioning is Falcon. This was open sourced by the Emirates about 3 weeks before Llama 2. Also comes in a 7 billion and I believe a 40 billion flavor, and completely open source. So same advantages and benefits of Llama 2.
Okay, that's interesting. And what do you think the future is going to look like the near future, the next couple of years in LLMs? Any predictions, any trends you've seen?
When I think about this, I divide it into 2 different buckets. I think about the foundation layer, and then I think about the application layer. Maybe this is the VC in me that does this, but I think the foundation layer, we're going to see a few things happen. I think the clear thing is increased model comprehension, right? So if we look where we've come over the last year, from if you look what GPT-3 could do versus 3.5 versus 4. GPT-3 was kind of borderline word salad. 3.5 had some sparks in there, and then 4 is just kind of mind-blowing in terms of the level of quality you get out of it. I think we're gonna, that only goes up. So I think the easy prediction is we're gonna see that getting better and better, right? I think the other easy prediction is increased context length of models, right? So the context window is how many characters or tokens or words or whatever, how much you can actually put into a single prompt for an LLM. And that's been increasing a lot over the past year as well, right? It started out a few thousand sort of tokens, which translates to kind of hundreds of words, or 1,000 words, something like that. Thousands of tokens up to, GPT-4's largest is now 32,000 tokens, and sort of the king of the hill is Anthropic's Claude is 100,000 now. And people are experimenting with these new architectures that allow unlimited sort of tokens as a context window. That's important because the more data you can give an LLM at one time, the better questions you can ask, right? And so like a lot of people in the application layer right now are playing around with prompt engineering to the extreme, right? So it like, if you prepare those prompts using an algorithm, like using a computer, you can make some very long prompts that fill up every little inch you have with relevant data. So actually the size of that context window is important, and they've been going up. So the other easy prediction and the foundation layer is that they're going to keep on getting bigger. One of the hard predictions, which I don't have a great answer to, is whether models are going to get bigger or smaller, which is interesting, right? So I think the easy bet is in the short term, models are going to keep getting bigger. That's because we haven't found a way to make them smaller yet. And, GPT-4 was 10x larger than 3.5, for instance. And There's rumors that GPT-5 is going to be even larger than that. I think that's the safe bet. And I think that at least in the very short term, we're going to see those models keep getting larger. But we're also encountering like sort of the saturation point for that, in that we just don't have the available compute, right? So GPT-4, the largest that I know of, that was, months and months and months, maybe even years of training time. No one really knows for sure outside of OpenAI. And hundreds of millions of dollars. So like, if we make that 10 times bigger, it costs $1 billion, right? I mean, that 10 times bigger, and we're talking in orders of magnitude here. We quickly reach a point where the model sizes, there just isn't economically feasible or technologically feasible or whatever to make them any larger. I think when that happens, and this is already happening now, and people are thinking about this problem, we're going to shift our attention to how can we achieve this sort of quality with models of a smaller size, right? There's tools that do that right now. There's model pruning, and like as I mentioned, LoRa, for instance, these are designed to reduce the size of a model. You can distill these models, reduce the size of the models so that they're cheaper and easier to train, right? So I think that will be sort of a midterm objective in the foundation layer. The other side of things, what's next for the application layer? This is actually where I think is the most exciting stuff. The reason for that is that, to build a really great AI product, to build a great product, it probably takes anywhere from 12 to 24 months to build a really high quality MVP, right? We are now in month 7 or 8 post LLM revolution. So a lot of the products that are using these tools are still being developed today, right? I think that in the next 12 months, over the next 12 months, a lot of those are going to start being deployed successfully. And, I think this platform shift, just the speed at which it's happening is shocking. And I think this is going to be the mother of all Cambrian explosions in the application layer. We're going to see LLMs integrated into pretty much all of the types of software that we built over the last 30 years. Whether it's, we just saw Superhuman integrated with your email, whatever it is. I think everyone is finding clever, elegant ways to use LLMs to unlock better usage patterns for their own software vertical. And I think pretty much every software vertical is going to have tons of innovation around this and have these really great new products coming out over the next year or so, powered by this, the foundation models that are, available today.
Okay, perfect. I see. And finally, before we go, where can our listeners and viewers learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, well, so my name again is Ryan Janssen. You can find me on Twitter or LinkedIn. I think it's at Ryan Janssen with 2 S's, or just Google Ryan Janssen 2 S's on LinkedIn. If you're a big nerd, follow me on Twitter. If you're less of a nerd, follow me on LinkedIn. I do more businessy, buildy type interactions on LinkedIn. I do more nerdy interactions on Twitter. If you're interested in, trying Zenlytic, we go to zenlytic.com. You can sign up, and we actually just have a free trial to try it out and load it up, and hit me up if you want help with it as well. So again, you can just reach out to me directly. Thanks again for listening, and really good chat.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure to go to thedatascientist.com for more content on AI, data science, and Web3. Thank you.